I will show you in a minute.
Right. Call me anything. You can call me the future. Future of domain monetization.
Event of the evening before dinner and perhaps some further networking. We have a panel on parking and monetization. We'll begin Christian Voss from SEDO. Hello. Adam Wagner from Parking Crew. Oh, I'm losing my voice. Ryan Ewen from Digital Candy. Oh, he gets the clap.
What a fan club.
He brought a fan club. And Claus Barche from Internetix. So let's start today. Maybe each of you would like to do a quick introduction of yourself and your company, and then we can have more of a conversation.
Hi, my name is Christian Voss. I'm working for SEDO. My role there is the CMO, and the M this time stands for monetization. So I'm taking care of brokerage and of search arbitrage and parking business at SEDO. I'm with SEDO as a client. I'm actually client number 12, so for 24 years now, but as an employee for 10 years now. And as you can see in my profile on Facebook, I like to ride bikes, and I'm very happy that Helmut's organized this show here the second time. I really appreciate all events happening in Europe. Mostly it is somehow American focused, so we really like to support all these events in Europe, in the UK, in Switzerland, in Austria, and that's always great to have that crowd here. And thank you again for this huge crowd. I didn't expect it that big, and I'm very, very pleased about the setup here. Thank you.
My name is Adam Wagner. I represent parkingcrew.com as a director of sales. I've been in the domain name industry for recent 18 years. Similarly, like Christian, I am one of early partners and clients of Parking Crew. Been in the domain name business for that long. I've been both in acquisition sites, sales sites, managing registrars, so both in this primary and secondary market on top of parking and monetization. And when it comes to Parking Crew has been one of the top 4 domain monetization platforms. It is especially dedicated for professional domain parkers with large volume of traffic, especially also for registrars and I would say entities which operate high volume of traffic. It may seem very obvious, but basically domain monetization and monetization of domain name is dependent on traffic volume. So it is essential to say that not every premium domain name has to have traffic, but every domain name with traffic can be considered as a premium domain name. We can talk a little bit about that later. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ryan Ewen. I'm the co-founder of EW3N. We're a digital asset investment company, so we acquire domain portfolios. We've got 5 2letter.coms, so we're trying to rival Jack with his 17, but that's a work in progress. I'm also the co-founder of .uk Group, so with Mo and Jeff, who are here today as well. So we've got a premium portfolio of UK domain names, and we're looking to really put London on the map and try and, we're kind of innovating in the industry. We've got a marketplace and auction platform, so we're kind of looking to the future and innovation on domain monetization as well.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Claus. I'm from the company called internetx.com. We are a global domain registrar which is based in south of Germany. It's called Regensburg, which I believe some of you already know. It's close by to Munich. I'm not so long in the industry like those guys. I'm only 14 years in the industry. InternetX is already over 25 years, nearly over 25 years. We have a big celebration party this year. And what is InternetX doing? So we are the B2B registrar of the IONOS group. I don't know if you ever heard of IONOS. It's a big group called United Internet. We're also a SEDO, the monetization part. And we are there, the B2B registrar. That means so we provide all the technical solutions to register domain names, to find domain names, to secure domain names. And on top of that, we have a cloud business ongoing, so we also have hosting. And to be fair, we also have a registry business where we run our own registries. Yeah, so that's me, or us.
Welcome to each of you, and thank you for being here. Even you see in the spirit of the microphone, the cooperation over competition, I think, at least from the outside, that's what we all see and appreciate, and thank you for. So, I'd say let's start off with what are the topics most on your mind, or that you think are most on the minds of the people here? Adam, would you like to start off and just kick off a conversation?
So, what I would mention is that among domain community, I mean, everyone wants to sell names, and it's obviously for everybody's interest to make some sort of calculation how many names you really sell, for how much, what is the overturn yearly when it comes to premium domain name sales. Obviously, this type of discussions usually can be quite tough because we know the sell-through ratio among the premium domain name sales is not high. It's usually around 1 up to 2%, and then you can call yourself usually as a sort of successful domain investor. This is a bit of a challenging environment, while when it comes to parking, I like to say that there are many customers at Parking Crew who have monthly revenues over $10,000. There are several above $100,000. So these are numbers which you have to answer yourself how they correspond to your domain name sales monthly. I would like to mention that while everyone is so focused on premium domain name sales, and I perfectly understand it, I'm in that business myself as well, but at the same time being a domainer who parks names for the monetization of traffic, I understand how beautiful is having like 5 figures revenues from monetization of names, which you wouldn't call premiums, because as I mentioned a moment ago, not every premium name has to have traffic, but traffic is beautiful. The conversion is totally opposite, can be totally opposite to the sell-through ratio in the premium domain name space. So this is quite interesting, not so very common, because everyone would like to sell 5-6 figures revenues stream from sales. That would be the intention, and the monetization market can be considered a bit of forgotten, while totally is not. Like Parking Crew, and you can trace it easily by central NIC numbers for the investors. We are not far from 100 million a year when it comes to revenue. So these are very decent numbers.
Interesting. So would you say, you know, like if we had domain brokers and we're asking the same question, some answers would be appropriate for premium domains, whereas other answers or platforms, resources would be different for large volume investors or you know, different second or third tier value domain names? Would you say the parking industry is divided like that as well for what your strategy, your platform, your...
Definitely. When it comes to premium domain name sales, to me, premium domain name is all about branding. Well, when we are talking about the appraisal, I mean, valuation of a premium.com name, for me, traffic volumes barely matter. I wouldn't say that matter at all. While when we are talking about traffic domain names, then traffic is everything. I guess Christian will tell more about it.
Well, I don't have to say that much more about it, but it's, as Adam just said, when it comes to traffic, that's easy measurable. So you have your statistics, you have all your tools you can use, but when it comes to premium domains, it's a lot of branding, gut feeling, and that's the role of a premium broker, to give the seller and the buyer not only a good feeling, but giving them both the best deal they can get. It's as a long-lasting company, for example, like SEDO, or as another premium broker who's in the business for a long time, it doesn't make sense to have a one-shot deal. Then the broker is burned, and he will never do any deal with another seller or the same buyer again. So the role of a broker, and then it's not convincing. It's telling a story. It's giving them both a good feeling, the seller that he got the best price he could get, and the buyer that he got the domain for the best price he could get. And that is all this around which you can't really measure. And as Adam said, when it comes to monetizing a premium domain, Jack will maybe say the same whenever it comes to convincing, telling a story, shortcut, when it comes to the cab driver test every domainer is doing when he wants to sell a domain, how you can use it for shortening your email box when it comes to shortening your complete communication for your new company, for your new product, and so on. So this is something not really measurable. When it comes to sales, so we see it on our platform that more and more sales are fixed price deals or being done through the platform, because the market gets more and more mature, and not that many people wants to negotiate everything. But the role of a broker is to give them both a good feeling, and when it's not such a premium domain name, a good fixed price domain for a smaller price, it's also quite good. When it comes to finding the right price for a domain name, well, when you set a price and it's sold within a minute, then it was obviously too cheap. But there are some good tools, good signs in the market, a lot of knowledge, a lot of database you can still use, and that gives a good price range where to set the price.
Okay, I guess the two challenges I think that people are here for, so specifically on the UK side, it's having a premium marketplace. Specifically for UK domain names. I think with the recent changes to dan.com, changing it to dollars, I think from a UK perspective, VAT is an issue. And I think that if you can drag the market up from the top, I think that's one of the challenges for specifically UK domains. At the moment, if you're trying to buy UK domains, you're looking at liquidation is everywhere. You've got domain law intrinsically all over the internet. You've got Acorn for domainers, and then you've got Flip, which we also own. But the reality of the situation is UK market for selling to end users is incredibly difficult, and we need a marketplace. So that's one of the challenges, I think, for UK domainers, and that's one of the things we're trying to solve. With regards to domain monetization, the reality of the situation is that nothing has changed since 2010. There hasn't been any innovation. Those early players who had a Google Ads feed were able to offer those services to people to monetize their domain. The biggest challenge for portfolio holders is that domains increase in value year on year. So the longer you can hold on to the domain names for, the more valuable they'll be worth. So how do you get a domain name? It doesn't matter whether you paid $100 for it or £100,000. How can you get it to make more than $10 a year so that you end up in a similar situation to property whereby you're cash flowing? And I think that's one of the big things we're working on, is the actual monetization of a domain. So there's two parts to that, I feel. One is that basically Google are very stringent with their terms. So if you want to enter the space, you're going to have to buy a company that has a turnover of, say, 50 to 100 million, because you can't get Google feeds anymore. However, if you're a bit technologically savvy, there is an opportunity to directly have a comparable to current domain parking solutions, whereby you're offering affiliate marketing. And then what you need is a system using AI to essentially understand the context of a domain name and display the right product on the page. So that's one element of domain parking. The second element is on a product page. So if you deal with Amazon or AliExpress or any of the big providers, currently you can integrate products directly from Amazon. And if someone clicks the product, they'll end on Amazon's website. So they've left your domain name, they're on the Amazon website. You'll earn potentially between 2 and 5% commission, and that cookie is valid for 24 hours. So if the customer goes away, comes back 7 days later, you're not going to get paid. Now, you can integrate directly with Amazon. You can keep them on your domain name. We'll keep them in the shopping cart, and your commission goes up. So you can chase the client. You can go, hey, you've still got stuff in your shopping cart. And your commission goes up from 2 to 5% to 15%. So that's a huge uplift in that particular product market. The third one is having a single page application that understands if you're a service business, you should be able to auto-generate a website, say your pest control or financial advice or whatever it might be, a single page, one-page application that enables the customer to come along, click a couple of buttons, and then the inquiry is directly sold out to the relevant party. Similar to how Google Ads works, you're paying for advertising, and 1 in 10 inquiries that come through will convert. So there's kind of 3 elements to that, and probably the big thing that would change the industry would be if you can auto-generate a website. So if you, with domain monetization, while it is a traffic number, we have a geo, we've been running tests for like 6 to 9 months, and we have a geo domain name that was parked at Bodis and was generating 54 cents a month. Because we directly pick the products and we get affiliate commission, we're earning £250 a month, so we know the market's there. If you can be specific and understand the context of the domain using technology. With service-based inquiries, there is no solution, despite the fact that people will, you don't need high traffic numbers to get good conversions. So I think the key things here is for the UK marketplace, and then also in terms of the domain monetization, is actually earning money. So, selling your spam email traffic, these are easy gains that currently aren't integrated within platforms. And with spam email, you're kind of doing a service to the world by really clamping down on these offending IP addresses, these websites, while earning money. So I think there's different kind of innovation that's due to come, and it will help large portfolio holders.
Okay. I have to say this is a topic where a domain registrar only can show up right now. The discussions which always happen between a channel partner and an investor, and then there's also on the other side the domain registrar, which is the provider where you keep your domain names. And when it comes from our side, we see, of course, when a domain investor is looking into his revenue, he has to take a look into the pricing of the domain names. And then there's the new situation, which is all over the global situation right now, that we all have to struggle with price increasing. And this is a fact where the domain investors always have to take care of and have to take a look into it, into their calculations. On the other hand, premium names is from our perspective is as a registrar, we really we have to provide solutions to find domain names. This is, as you mentioned, for us it's the AI-based search. So we are working right now that we implement as many possibilities for AI to give for end customers the possibility to search domain names, but also for domain investors to find easily domain names which are existing. The big problem is the languages, because in UK you guys have your own language, in Germany we have our language, and for especially when you look into the Polish market, it's very difficult to find names in Polish, because it's a special language. And for all these kinds of measurements which you all have to take a look into to find markets, it's difficult for us, and I'm repeating myself, I speak as a domain registrar for domain monetization. For us it's the topic to serve all of you. So we try to serve the domain investors, we try to serve the brand owners, we try to serve the companies, the backend providers with the most technology. But in my personal effect, that we are serving right now over 30,000 partners globally. When it comes for premium names, domain monetization, I think there was, I think Christian and Adam can start the discussion. I think there was a change, as you mentioned right now. There was a big change from investing in domain names 10 years ago to now, but it's you need to take a deeper look into how you use your domain names and what kind of tools you need to get money out of your investments.
Yeah, I mean, I guess ultimately you don't want to be selling your domain names. Okay, you want to hold them for as long as possible because they're increasing in value. But how do you meet your renewal fees? And in reality, if you have a domain that costs $10 a year and you can make $20 a year, that's an absolutely fantastic return. And if you can do that on volume, then that's where you need to be.
It's relatively easy when it comes to maintaining a traffic portfolio, and having both portfolios, both premiums and traffic, I would say, and this is also the personal observation and parking crew perspective, that, well, if I want to buy a portfolio of premium names, very likely every one of you would be able to offer one. If I would like to buy traffic portfolio, the question is how many sellers would be in the room. These circumstances, which significantly overweights the demand versus the supply, creates a situation where investors who are focused on traffic portfolios have been much more successful over the recent years. This is what I can tell.
The question is not new. So since the beginning of domaining, actually that's how this parking product was developed. So when SEDO was founded in 1999, it was a big marketplace for already registered domains, and the founders thought they have an eBay for domain names. And then they found out we got millions of domains on the marketplace. They still got traffic, but nobody's really buying them. So the founders, and somehow by accident, they reached out to Google, or Google reached out to them, and they said, we have so much traffic, and can you do something with it? And Google said, you have so much traffic, why can't we put ads on it? That's how this parking product was invented 22 years ago. And so there are just a couple of parking companies like Parking Crew Central Nick, like GoDaddy, like SEDO, who have that parking, this domain parking feed, and that's still working to get all these renewal fees at least in, or making a profitable business out of it. It was a necessity for it, so there was no need before. There were just too many domains out, and they had traffic. Type-ins or from any kind of leftover website or abandoned website or whatsoever. So the traffic was there. And since then, it didn't really happen. It didn't really change. Is it an old product? It still works. And as Ryan said, if you're buying a domain for $10 and it makes 11 or 12 or 13 or 20 or whatsoever, it's a profit already. And it's scalable. And then for the last 5, 6 years, when Google officially allowed that you drive actively traffic to these parked domains, that's this new extension now, this referral traffic, this search arbitrage business where you actively buy traffic from native sources or from TikTok, from Facebook, and send it to these parked pages. And then the same mechanism over and over again. Google provides, or Yahoo or Bing, they provide ads, and we as a parking company, we provide the customers and we provide the traffic. That's the same system. And it's always a matter of how much you spend, and in best case, you get more out of it. And these are the different models, how to earn money with domains, how to monetize through the whole life cycle, to register as cheap as possible, and then making the most out of a domain. We have some parking clients who owns their domain for 15, 20 years, and they are still making great money just parking. It still works, currently.
I suppose the key thing is that it generates revenue. Okay, so there is a working model there, and it's simple. All you do is change your name servers, and the parking crew or whichever kind of provider you use will do the hard lifting for you, right? So there is a working model in there. I just believe that really, that innovation is the key to the future. And part of why I like being in domains is because there's so much opportunity. You know, as a domain investor, can you code? Can you design? Can you build a brand? And that's largely where the opportunity lies, and why I'm excited to work in it.
I think we have a layup of a question about AI you mentioned, and innovation. You mentioned a little bit of what you folks are doing or how you're incorporating that, but that seems like such a question I assume that everyone expects you all to answer. So do you want to chat a little bit about how AI is influencing how you can make decisions or direct traffic or anything else?
I think you mentioned already that there's a big opportunity when it comes to creating websites through AI. I think this is going to be a big change for the industry, especially when you look into the market, when you see there's Wix.com, for example. Like, I think is it also common here in the UK that you use a website builder?
Yes, I mean, look, AI's got lots of applications. Yeah. It can understand the context of the traffic and serve them the best possible advert. So it's definitely going to impact every part of this business. You can generate a logo, you can generate some text and all the other stuff, and you can kind of stitch it together to create a website. The kind of interesting thing then probably we all have in common is, and probably everyone in this room, is what is the context of the domain name? Okay, how can you use AI to fully understand what products should be on the page, what kind of context, what is the traffic, and everything else? I think whoever stitches AI in first is going to have that thinks it's impossible. If you've got a marketplace with thousands of listings, you just can't categorize them. It's impossible. So you need some kind of technology solution. And obviously everyone's heard of ChatGPT and stuff, you know, but language learning models, which is essentially what they are, have been around for years. So I think that's the key, to be able to categorize a domain name. And I think potentially with Squad Help, you know, they can categorize by business category, by color, you know, but you should be able to determine an emotion, colors and certain things. And then the more information you have about the domain and the history of the domain, then the better you can serve customers. Because ultimately what you're trying to do with advertising is give the most valued advert to the most suitable person. And that's how you make the most money.
My 2 cents on the AI topic. On the one hand, it could be a discussion about how traffic can be driven to websites, but at the same time, I would be sort of cautious on, I would say, what is really the real traffic. And in this context, I would mention that Google is really sensitive on the traffic quality, and quality is everything when it comes to conversion. So in the end, the current status is that to be successful in monetization, a domainer has to have portfolio of names which have real traffic. And what means real traffic? Real visitors. So, well, if someone would be thinking about smart ways of driving traffic up to the domain names in order to spin the numbers, then I would say this is not the way to go, because this will be a very short run, which will result with closing of an account and the clawback. So, well, AI, interesting topic, but in the end, traffic quality and real visitors is the key when it comes to being successful in domain monetization.
Actually, not much to add. It's about, at the end, it's about the humans. So you can create everything, you can do everything, but once you create artificial traffic, then it's called a bot. That's forbidden, or it's a useless system. So it's a helpful technology to do something or to create something and to do a little bit better stuff in a shorter time. But at the end, it's about the human beings who need to like the combination of both, and there needs to be a beneficial part in it. And so sometimes I have the feeling this AI discussion is just it's overwhelming, and we will facing a tsunami of content right now. So every content can be written by any kind of machine, AI-driven machine, but who's reading this? Nobody. So we are actually coming back to this technology wave is coming. It will help us a little bit, or it will help us a lot, but at the end, it's about us. It can just be about us.
While innovation is great, because what Ryan mentioned, that there's actually maybe a questionable number of innovation when it comes to monetization, I wouldn't necessarily say that this is a bad thing, because this product is actually sort of that straightforward like it's ever been, and it doesn't necessarily mean that this is something bad. It's sort of like everyone knows Afternic. Afternic, we obviously know that it is just now they're in the release phase of Afternic 2.0, but through all the years, the old Afternic has been one of the really oldest tools on the internet in the domain name space. But is something bad? Not really. They have been driving hundreds of millions, if not more, of sales with this old crappy afternic.com. But, well, innovation, great thing, but at the same time, the principles of business is what really matters.
I have to ask a question. Would Google or any type of search company, how would affect AI-based content website in terms of what's the difference between if I'm writing it myself or I'm using ChatGPT and some other tools for that website? So where's the difference?
So, I mean, we would never generate content with ChatGPT. It's fine if you want to send an email response or you need some help with a social media post. But the reality is that I suppose that where the internet started was we had to fill it up. There wasn't enough information. So if you had an exact match domain and you wrote an article, you'd rank in Google and you'd earn some ad money. That's going to change now because most categories are covered. People do still kind of dip in there, but I've seen plenty of sites where they'll just go and add 1,000 articles a month. You know, it's not expertise content, and it will be picked up. It might sound amazing for 2 months that they're doing really well, but they'll be picked up. Probably what's happened to journalism is that more than ever, quality, insightful research content that backlinks and credits the sources has probably become more valuable. It's just we're in an interim period whereby the average Joe can go online and write an article about horse riding without actually ever having ridden a horse. And Google will pick up on it at some point.
Did we answer your question, Claus?
I have a follow-up question. Is a website, is a domain name more often, is it better sold when you have content on it, or is it just when you have the parking page on it?
Actually, 50-50. You can say sometimes it's pretty crappy content, so nobody really wants to buy it, but as Adam said, then you can measure the traffic which is already running through through the website, and if you have recurring business going through the website, so these numbers might help. But in a lot of cases, it's much easier and easy to communicate just to sell the domain name. Otherwise, you have to evaluate the whole business, the wording, and you have to check it if it's unique content. Do you have the rights for all the pictures on it? So it's a little bit more difficult, and then you have to take it over. You have to take care of the content management system, which is behind, and all the tech behind. So when it comes to brokerage, the broker, I think Dave will confirm it, then it's much easier to sell just the domain name, unless you have a business which you can measure and where you have all the financials for the last couple of years. So it's a tricky question, especially if Jack's domains, for example, just two-letter.coms. There's always a meaning behind it, or you can set up a story behind it. And if it's already fixed with a fixed website which is running, then your imagination and your creativity is pretty limited to that.
Thank you.
What do you think are, I mean, we could open it up to questions, or I just wonder, what do you think are either, common questions that you're asked or common misconceptions that, you want to discuss? Do you have more or less something that you wanted to really get into today and share or clear up in any way? Or is it so straightforward?
One thing I got been asked a couple of times, what SEDO stands for.
Wait, I was thinking of asking, who in the audience knows? Raise your hand if you know what SEDO stands. Raise your hand if you know that SEDO is an acronym and stands for something. Oh, raise your hand like you mean it, sir. Okay. Dave, you can't win a prize.
Yeah, correct. Search engine for domain offers. I got this question so many times, and it's SEDO. That's how we say it in Germany. It's a German company, but you can also pronounce it SEDO, so whatsoever. So it's SEDO, search engine for domain offers. That's the only question I can answer here right now.
Is it confirmed, or is it just added explanation to SEDO?
No, that's confirmed. But also a funny story. When the founders had it, they just registered the sedo.de, and they didn't think of the .com, so they bought the .com a couple of years later for a outrageously high price. So when it comes to monetization, or monetizing your business, think about your domain strategy. Yes, think locally if you started, and if you stay in London, then the .london maybe is enough. But once you want to grow your business into the UK or into the world, then I think sometimes it's a costly mistake not having the .com.
Do you buy it on SEDO?
I will ask our CEO.
I think that's an excellent example, Dave, of the branding challenges that actual domain buyers encounter as well. So a little ironic, but a good lesson. I think we've opened it up for questions.
Hi. Are there any stats or anyone on tracking? If you have an expired domain name and that potentially has valuable traffic and backlinks to it. When you put it on a standard parking page or you put it on a content page, are there any stats on how long it takes that traffic to fall away and for backlinks to drop? So, you know, I've bought expired domain names in auctions and then maybe haven't done anything with them. How long do you have to capture that equity that's there?
It's a great question. I would say it really depends on the volumes of traffic, on the specificity of the traffic. If there have been some sort of a campaign running on a domain name which suddenly expires, you catch the name, you park the name, you may start off from 5 figures per month and that could drop very fast. At the same time, if you have different name which just has couple hundreds per month, it can just stay for years and it doesn't necessarily has to drop. So it's really everything from A to Z, the cases which you may have. You may ask the same, like which type, what's the average conversion or revenue per name from drop catching channel. It really depends. It's everything on the table possible here.
I would probably follow up with if you drop catch a domain today, the traffic will be gone within 24 months. Or 90% of the traffic, in my experience, will be gone within 24 months. That's why when you sell traffic domains, if you can get 28x, so 28 your monthly income, then you're doing well, but typically over 24 months. If you catch an expired domain name and you build a website on it, it's going to take you 6 to 9 months to get back that equity from Google and get your traffic back that way.
I wouldn't necessarily agree.
I mean, you've got a larger data set, but I spent 2 weeks in Bulgaria with Kaelin from SEO Domains, who has 220,000 CC tildes that he owns, and he's been in traffic domains for 6 or 7 years. One of the other guys out there has got 2 million domains. But just as a rule of thumb, I'm just benchmarking averages. You know, some keywords will get typed into Google organically. It depends on the quality of the backlinks and everything, but I think a good rule of thumb is to say a large majority of the traffic will have diminished within 24 months.
Hi. This might sound, I guess, a bit like a loaded question. I guess I'm probably slightly out of the typical demographic of this audience in that I'm not a domainer. I actually have come in from the brand protection side. So my question would be, to what degree do you think there is a kind of conflict between brand protection and monetization? Just sort of a bit of a thought experiment, really. If I was looking to register a domain and make some quick money off it, I might register a domain that was a typo variant of a really popular website and stick some sponsored ads on that to generate click-through revenue from the mistyped browser requests. That, you know, I guess, I mean, I don't know sort of really how the monetization industry works, I guess. But, you know, that to me would feel like, you know, that's a good way of generating money from a domain name. But kind of from a brand protection side, I guess we would think of that as kind of bad practice. It goes back to the issues of unfair use that Nigel was talking about earlier. And, you know, if this is, you know, taking traffic away that is meant for the brand owner. And actually, if those sponsored ads are taking people to competitor sites, that is potentially doing that brand owner some real damage. So I just kind of really wanted to get your thoughts on sort of how that works kind of in your side of the industry, really.
What a fabulous question. I think you all can hold that in your heads for just a moment. I would like to super awkwardly make a call out to David, remind me your last name, Barrett? Barnett, so close. This is his first domain conference. He has asked absolutely fabulous questions all day, very well thought out. So I love how welcoming we are as a community. Welcome to you and thank you for what you've already contributed. Who else is this their first conference? Welcome. So, okay, now I trust y'all are experts and can remember and answer the question.
I could take this one. So I would say that the opportunity behind typos can be a bit, I would say, overestimated among the community, because in the end, now there are not that much of traffic in typos. This is first. There are more interesting, I would say, sources and types of domains which are capable to drive revenue. This is first. Second, parking companies don't incentivize or don't, I would say, encourage our partners or clients to monetize this type of names. And finally, parking companies cooperate with brand owners, regularly deal with the requests to take specific domain names down based on just a kind of like a declaration and plus proofs, obviously, of the trademarks, even without the last resort option, which is UDRP, where brand owner can file a UDRP and they are able to take a domain name down. But it is not even necessary to go that far, because domain parking companies like Parking Crew and surely SEDO go that deep. They just cooperate with brand owners in such a way to respect the intellectual property. And it may seem like domain parking could be like a cave of typos monetization and this kind of stuff, but not really. We are serious businesses. Like SEDO is part of a large group. Parking Crew is part of large Central NIC, which is publicly listed company. We operate a legitimate way of traffic monetization, and this kind of cases, I would call them an edge cases, which are not in the interest to be sort of like continued, or they are definitely not a meaningful part of our business.
I can also jump in as a registrar. It's a business. There are a lot of people out there who are doing this. Of course, as a point of view, as a parking company, the terms and conditions are looking into that, and you are not allowed to use. But there are a lot of people outside who are doing the business, and we, as a registrar, try to educate the community, or especially that the brand owners take care of. As you mentioned, we had a good example a few minutes ago from SEDO.de, and then you grow your business, and then you go internationally, and then you have to buy the .com. It's the same with the typo names, because maybe some brand owners don't have, in their point of view, the possibility to find out that there are typo names which can be there. And also I had a discussion today with registry. When you look into the registry in itself, when you, for example, talk about .om and .com, it can be also a typo name in terms of the registry or the extension you are using. On the other side, when you look into the new cheese and the new icon round, which is going to happen in, I think, 26, which they announced, there are already a lot of brand protection products or possibility tools for the brand owners, which take away dead names in general from the new cheese. But from the CC side, it's difficult, and there is definitely a potential.
But as a domainer, I basically wouldn't say that there is traffic in, I would say, Mercedes dot, I don't know, whatever, Mercedes dot any new GTLD. From my experience, such names don't have traffic, and I wouldn't see a reason why a domainer would like to go that far to abuse someone's trademark, hoping for revenue, because there will not be revenue in 99% cases.
I suppose from my point of view, one is it's probably a technology issue. You know, if you've got 20 million domains on platform, how do you actually know? And some of the infringements on brand are so sensitive and so subtle that it's very difficult. So okay, we've got AI there, so that potentially could solve the solution. Probably what I would say is I would learn from the past. So I'd look at YouTube when they allowed people to upload content that infringed on brands. Essentially, YouTube worked it into the way they paid advertisers, and they came to agreements with companies. So, for example, whether it's with parking companies or whatnot, it feels like that's a potential quite easy solution.
Yes, thank you very much. I mean, most interesting discussion. I enjoyed the last question as well, because I think it was getting at some of the issues that were discussed earlier. I'd just like, to ask the panel how they think the new round, or the prospective new round for generic top-level domains will affect the marketplace. Will it be beneficial to you, or whether the confusion caused, or I say confusion, but the turmoil in the market as new names come into existence, is that beneficial to you? It'd be interesting to get your perspective. Thank you.
I'm starting. I think I brought it up. It's a tough question. It's when you look at the market right now, there are so many possibilities to find a good domain name with all these kind of extensions. I think right now from our side, we have about 1,200 to 1,300 extensions right now. I don't know how many applicants gonna be there, and will approve and will be successful applicants, but there are, I think our whole internet community is separating itself into niches. And of course, when you look into the .com namespace, it's difficult to find a really good name under .com, because there are a lot of people looking into that. But I believe also that a 2-letter or a 1-letter .com name is very, very on a high price level, instead of this new upcoming new cheese which gonna be there. The problem is also on the other side, the registries have a different kind of pricing model, because when you look at .com, .net, .de, you don't have premium names, or UK, you don't have from the registry side that the registry is telling you you have to pay, for example, 10K per year for that name already. So this brings out a domain investor, because I think it's difficult to get money out of that investment. So in January, the next round, I'm a little bit, I would say, sensitive, because the market hasn't already been in a way successful for the already existing new cheese, because you see a lot of new cheese already struggling when you look at how many TLDs already have been consolidated to existing registries which have a huge volume of TLDs.
Well, I'm skeptical. Actually, the first round is not over yet. So after 10 years, there are still some extensions which are not taken, or which are not given by somebody. So for the new marketplace, there are too many varieties, and we see it with the new GTLDs. There are just a handful, or maybe 2 handful of new GTLDs which survived in a matter that you see some value or volume in registrations. So there are just a couple of who did good marketing, who put some money in it to bring out the new world. The world existed before the new GTLDs, and it was okay-ish. So we had our CCTLDs, we had our GTLDs, we had our Knobi TLDs, and it was all good. And then the new GTLDs came in, they had to market themselves, to promote themselves, and to find their niche wherever. And currently, I would say there is enough. It will add some more new extensions, but at the end, it won't influence that much. It will drive new money to the registries. It will drive new money to ICANN. It will drive new money maybe to the marketplaces. At the end, it will still take a while to take off, and a lot of money, especially in marketing, will be I wouldn't say burned, but at least they have to invest it to bring out the new extension and to promote the new extension. So I would say the impact will be lower than expected or lower than hoped.
I've just got a question on the brand, linked to the brand side of things, and that's it. That is, if you are a small or medium-sized player, what protections are there for you not to be pushed around by the big guys? Because you think of the brand world, remember that situation where Lewis Hamilton threatened to sue, or did sue, Hamilton Watches for their name. And it's like, excuse me, Mr. Hamilton, Hamilton Watches have been around since 1892. They were there first. But I know, certainly coming from the telecoms and business messaging world, there are some very large mobile network operators, and I've dealt with them in Asia, who felt they had to absolutely bend over backwards to accommodate huge brands like Facebook and everything, when they themselves will have such dominant positions in the countries they are in. So when it comes to domains, it's perhaps my lack of knowledge. Are there rules and regulations there? So let's say Hamilton Watches is there, Hamilton has got something, and then someone like Lewis Hamilton comes along and says, no, they're doing something, they're infringing. Is it very, very strictly controlled? And are there legal measures in place to protect the little guy?
So basically, most of the registries operate on the first come, first served basis. And then there is a room for UDRP proceeding and all other legal proceedings. So then we start to talk about trademarks and who really...
But what happens if I don't have the money to pay hundreds of euros an hour for a trademark lawyer, etc., and I'm a small business, but
yes.
I got there first, so there's no doubt I was there first.
Yeah, so when it comes to domain name registration, the first principle is first come, first served. Okay. So if you register the domain name, you are the registrant, you have the domain name. And then potentially the next step is with someone else claiming that they have the right to this domain name, what they will be doing with that and what will be the total outcome. If they have the trademark and potentially you do not have the trademark, then there will be another, I would say, assessment whether, let's say, you sell or you use the domain name in the same category as the trademark owner. Probably quite edge case would be Apple. If there is a grocery selling Apple and there is the electronic company, I mean, if you, in any circumstances, get very good Apple-related domain name, I don't know, apple.co.uk hypothetically, although I'm sure it belongs to Apple, and you sell apples, I mean groceries, the most likely Apple Electronics wouldn't take that domain name away. But if you come by any means even close or very far, but still sort of in the electronic spectrum, then very likely that trademarks would apply and you would lose the domain name.
Okay, thank you, very clear.
I think let's do one more question and then we'll wrap it up for the evening.
In terms of domain parking pages and having advertisements on them, in which direction are you seeing the CPCs going, the cost per clicks or the eCPMs? In light of the economy going down, are you seeing a drop or a plateauing of those, or are they continuing to go up?
I can take this one. So parking is directed, is connected to the economy. No doubts about it. I mean, what is the revenue stream? The revenue starts from the advertisers' budgets. So depending on how the economy does, advertisers do adequately, and then obviously it translates into, call it RPM or RPC, whatever. And probably this is the primary dependency on the direction of the RPM. And then when it comes to different categories, it all depends. There are categories which go up, which go down. depending on the seasonality, different circumstances. But the first point, everything starts from the advertiser's market.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say down. It's going down. The last, obviously, remember that it is seasonal, but over time it's gone down. And not just advertising as a whole, general. So even web advertising and everything has gone down over time.
Well, in general, yes, but as you also said, there's seasonality and niches, and when it comes to lead gen, which is not parking, but which is used by lead gen companies that they buy the traffic from parking pages. So that in some categories it goes up, but it depends on there are some niches, there are some industries, there are some new products. For example, during COVID, these e-learning like crazy. Yes, there was a need for it, and you can't generalize it. There are certain niches and certain products and certain industries which are going down. Some of them are spiking up. In general, maybe you are right that it goes down, but it's still on a pretty good level.
Thank you so much. Wonderful question to end the evening on. Thank you to each one of you for such an informative and interesting panel.